Welcome back to another episode of Be Our Guest here on Musical Theater Radio. I am your host, as always, Jean-Paul Jovanoff. Today, we are speaking with an international recording artist. He's played more than 1,500 concerts worldwide, and without realizing it, we actually play one of his shows on our station. So that was a great surprise when I figured that out and learned that. It gives me great pleasure to introduce to you the incredibly talented David Serero. David, welcome to the show.
My dear Jean-Paul, how are you? It is such
I'm-
an honor, such a privilege to be on your show. I'm a big fan of you, of what you're doing. So to have me in your show is like, it's a big treat for me,
That is very kind of you. You don't have to suck up anymore. It's okay. You don't have to be nice to me anymore.
No. I always be nice to you. Grateful for this amazing opportunity. Really. Thank you a million times.
All right. So I start out every interview exactly the same. Mm-hmm. Give me your 30-second bio. Who is David in 30 seconds?
Okay, so I'm a passionate young man, started out of nothing from Paris, was born in Paris. My family is from Morocco. I'm an opera singer, an actor, a stage director, a producer. So I've taken some opera concert originally, but I added a lot of stand-up comedy and I created, some unique shows. And from that, I created my own adaptations of classic, and I love to work 24/7 all the time.
You know what? I don't think 30 seconds is enough for all the stuff that you do, but I'm glad you could figure out how to get it down to 30 seconds.
Yeah, I tried.
Nice. So, I want to take it back to the beginning.
Sure.
When you were growing up, were you into musical theater and opera and that sort of thing from the beginning? Or was that something that grew as you grew older?
Oh, that's a good question, Jean-Paul. Well, when I started, I was absolutely not into opera, I love music. I started to play piano originally when I was, I think 7 or 8 years old, around that time, but not really playing. I was like, one note there, one note there. And then I really started to play piano, I believe when I was like 13 or 14 years old. And after I started singing when I was 16, but 15, and it was mostly rock music, So I definitely do not have the voice for rock music, I was a fan of Bon Jovi, so, first you have the French accent, which doesn't sound great on Living on a Prayer. And on that, you add my heavy voice, So, it didn't work out. But I did that, and then I discovered jazz, and then later I started to write my own material, because for me, doing music, you could sing one song there and there of someone else. But for me, doing music was singing your own material. It was never doing something else, And then so I did my own music, and then after I moved to New York, and this is where really things started. When I was, I think, I first came to New York, I was 17 years old or something. But I moved to New York, I was 20, when I had really nothing, just a small luggage, really nothing. But no, I grew up without listening to opera, without listening to all of that, even though I have some memories of, because my dad was working as in catering, but he started out as a dishwasher. So he would take me in the evening, and I will sneak in and listen to the bands playing in the weddings and stuff like that. So it's but maybe actually that's what made me a little bit different, is because I didn't come at all from that, and I had all the cliche and stereotype that when you live in what they call the project in America, growing up there, we could have of opera, and even if you say you like opera, people will make fun of you, in those days. So really, not at all from it originally.
All right. Was there anything you wanted to do before? Like, was there a job or career you thought of before you got into this? That's something you went, oh, I want to do this, and then something happened and changed?
Well, my dad is so that's catering. So I grew up in the food business. I grew up in that, and that I saw my dad creating his own business and being a leader and being, how to manage people. And I saw, saw the mistakes. We all do mistakes, and what he did, what worked, what didn't work, and but I was a cook. I worked for him as a cook. For a couple of years. I work as a mover and things like that. But no, I always loved music. And even though I work as a cook for a couple of years, because I was very passionate by it at some point, but thank God music took over. I mean, nothing wrong with being a cook, but back in the days when you were a cook, that was what the job that people coming out from jail, they were getting to do. It was either a mechanic or cook. It was like the two, lowest stuff. Not like it is now. Now it's like, it's on TV. It's people have a Facebook account, Instagram. It's very different. But no, it was always music. Yeah.
Nice. All right. So you said 16, you moved to New York. What was that like? I guess moving to New York for some people is a big thing, but you moved from Paris to New York. They're like two super huge cities of, cultural and powerhouse cities of the world. Before we get into New York, is there a big difference between Paris and New York? And what did you have to learn different and how and change?
Yeah, well, first I was not really in Paris. I was in the suburb of Paris, which was like with the train was like 20 minutes, from Paris. But the mentality was very, very different, and sometimes, it's funny to say, but sometimes there are stuff that I would do on stage or when I really fight, but not fight in violent way, like really get these, get the gig, get the contract, and this I feel that it's my roots coming from the suburbs, coming from the project that really is coming out. So I always said these 20 minutes of train, it was really 20 light years, between both worlds. I use even to say that because I grew up all my neighbors were Muslims. Some of them barely spoke French, or spoke French with a lot of mistakes and stuff. So I grew up in that environment of all the cultures, and I'm very grateful for that. And we were making fun of each other, but respecting each other. There was never had, a single bad word or anything like that. Or maybe, when you're a child, and I always say the joke was that when I was in the suburb of Paris and going to Paris, I used to say, "We're going to France," We're going to France. Wow. So yeah, for me already to go to Paris and to see all these, I used to say, c'est beau français, these beautiful French people, shaved with the tie, and they go to buy the bread with a little suitcase, and I was like, man, I'm dreaming to have a life like that, So from that, going to New York was a very big leap for me because I was coming to New York for music. I was not coming to New York just to live there. And it was at a time when there was no iPhone. I mean, it sounds funny now, but, and when you arrive in a city where just to ask the address of somebody, because it's one thing to speak English, it's another thing to understand New Yorkers. Trust me, it took me a long, I learned it the hard way, like I remember people, I was calling, I was saying, hello, I saw yeah. What do you want? What do you want? I don't have time. Yeah. What do you want? Okay. So where is? Well, you know, I was shaking. You could hear my voice stuttering. You know, where is the street? Okay, so it's very easy. It's 44 West 48th Street. So you just take down the A train when you get up. You go 2 steps up, and then you will see the first door. You go second floor. You ring the doorbell, and then I will come downstairs. Okay. Take my phone number 718-834-212. Okay. See you tomorrow 10 a.m. Bye. I swear to you, Jean-Paul, I was like, I was ashamed to ask, can you repeat? You know, now I'm not ashamed to say, I'm sorry, I didn't get what you say. I mean, sometimes I just don't understand. It doesn't have to do with the fact that it's in English, but even in French, sometimes someone tells you something, you're like, sorry, I didn't get what you're saying. But that time was like, and I was so impressed because, you know, they were very impressive, you know, the American or the American, but the New Yorker, you know, this city makes you harsh in a way, you know. So yeah, it was tough. So, you know, but you know what, Jean-Paul, I'm very grateful that I was able to know that time also, the late 90s, the 2000s, and to know that time pre-iPhone, pre-Wi-Fi, pre all of that, where you had that sort of school of taking your phone and calling people, you know, and not just saying, okay, I want this, I want that, but more being able to install some sort of a relationship with somebody, and not with a particular plan of setting up a relationship, but more, how are you, you know, more like a human thing, and you know, just calling people to check out how are you, how is everything. And so I'm very grateful to, you know, because back in the days, if you would say, not like it is today on social media, but back in the days in France, if you would just say something bad about someone on his back, he would show up to your doorstep, you know. So you would think twice before talking. Now in the days, everybody say whatever they want, you know, unfortunately. But back in those days, so I'm glad I have known this sort of education, but also being able to be young enough to be able to use emails, because I see my poor dad, he's like, with the emails, it's like, it's like you ask me to be an astronaut, you know. It's like, where, sorry, what is, you know, or you know, he writes sometimes the content of an email in the subject case, you know what so
I know this from my parents.
You know that.
Oh yeah.
Or sometimes, you know, he calls me with FaceTime, but he put the phone on his ear, you know. So I have his ear. Oh, God bless him. You know, I have his ear, the camera of his ear. And I'm like, Dad, put the phone in front of you. I say, but if I put it in front of me, I cannot hear you. I need the phone. But that's the whole idea.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's so funny.
So you're 16 in New York. You're pursuing music. How did that work? What did you do? How did you find people? How did you find work?
Well, that's one thing that I've always had since I was born, is I've never been scared, I'm sorry, to push a door. You know, like I always learned that in life you have yes or no, like nothing worse can happen, you know, and no one is going to shoot you because you want to work, because you want to perform, because you want, you know. This is why I'm so angry at all. We have that in the US. Thank God you don't have that in America yet, in Canada yet. But it's that cancel culture, you know. It's all of that. I'm sick and tired of that, because you know, there's nothing wrong for willing to feed your family, you know, nothing wrong with that, you know. So anyways, especially when someone has apologized and learned from whatever misbehaved, if what he did is true, or he or she, and if what he or she has done that is that falls, you know, in the court of laws, you know. Anyway, so I said, okay, I'm going to start with the big name. So what I do, I find on the yellow pages when I moved to New York, the office of Sony Music.
Okay. Yeah. Start
And
at the top.
I have these demo that I recorded in the garage of my parents, me singing my own song. Listen to this, Jean-Paul. And I just wear a nice suit.
Yeah.
And I go to Sony Music. I think they were on Madison Avenue, from what I remember. And I go there with my demo and I say hi. So I knew who was the CEO. I found their names. I forgot on an interview because there was no Google at that time. Maybe there was, but and then I go there and I say hi. I would like to meet. Oh, do you have an appointment with him? I say, yeah. Tell him that David Serero is here. With my accent, with the whole thing. And then they pass me some sort of a secretary, or they say, oh, I'm sorry, sir, if you don't. So I tried to make up a story saying that it's Sony Music in France. So I improvised something, who invited me to go there. And they're like, no, sir, if they would do that, they will reach out to us. We will set up an appointment. Oh, okay. So I have my CD here that I can give you. And they're like, well, we cannot take it because then after you can accuse us that we have stolen your songs. I said, look, it's the best thing that can happen to me. You steal the songs. And then they said, no, sorry, sir. Thank you. The security will escort you outside. So they didn't it was in a very nice manner. It was not, rough or anything. But man, after I walked down the block, I was like, wow, it's going to be harder than I thought. And and then that day I understood that, dude, no one is waiting for you in life. You know what I mean? Like, you have to go there. What's funny is that many years later, Sony distributed some of my stuff. Didn't produce, but they were distributor in the UK of some of my stuff. And the PR that they had, which was the PR that was hired to do my stuff, was the same one of Barbara Streisand. I forgot who else. Celine Dion. All the big guys. So you would see on their homepage of the website, you had Barbara Streisand, Celine Dion, and me. Nice. So I was like, what the hell am I doing here? But so but that was what that's what it was. And then at that time I was reading to theater. I started to read about Shakespeare for the first time. I knew about theater because in France, when you are in school, even when you are like 13, 12 years old, you have classes of theater, which is good for expression. For sure. And it is really helpful, and to work the memory. I mean, it was really helpful. So I had some experience with theater at that time, and then I was singing and doing theater, and people told me, oh, you should look at musical theater. And I was studying in New York at this great school called HB Studio, which was very helpful for me. I had an amazing acting technique teacher named Edouard Morehouse. He taught like all the big guys, goes from Al Pacino to all the big guys. Yeah. And I know when people say that, it sounds like I'm as good as Al, Not at all. You can work with the same teacher. I guarantee you can suck as well. So for sure. And man, I'm so glad that, talking about it, Jean-Paul, that I had teachers that were, today, people, the millennials, will call these teachers abusive teachers. But back in the days, man, they were so strong on me. They would tell me, you are shit. You are terrible. I don't know what you want to do in your life, but you're not capable of learning one single page. Shame on you. Get the hell out of my class. I will refund your scholarship, even with my own money. I don't want to see you. And man, I remember his class. On the first day of the class, there was like maybe 100 people. By the last, after 1 month, we were only like 5 or 6, because a lot of them were like, oh no, he's too rough, But then after, it pushes you to come back and to prove to the other that, but again, not in a bad way, to prove to the other that the person that, no, I'm capable of working. I didn't work enough last time. I got this. But now I'm going to show you that I can study. This is why when people say in this industry, it's about luck. It saddens me when people say that, because sooner or later in your life, it comes to a choice. Even people, who do bad things in life, sooner or later, when someone gives them a gun, they take they make the choice to grab the gun in their hands. You know what I mean? Or they take when I was a child, people, not a child, but like a teenager, people came in and said, hey, we're going to go to that store. We're going to steal stuff. And I make the choice to say, no, sorry, I'm not into that. First, because I know that my dad will give me like Alcatraz.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like in those days, man, the fathers, like you would not met my dad. He had like big black eyebrows.
Yeah.
Just when he would look at me like this, I swear, I would be sick for 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Like I would be in my bedroom, I would cry just by looking at his eyebrows. So, man, you would not mess around with dads at that time. I was not scared of the police. I was scared of my dad. Like I was like, man, I mean, I hope that the police would take me for 30 years, because if I go home and my dad is going to hurt me so bad. But I'm grateful to him, because a lot of people that I was hanging out at that time went either to jail or sooner or later did wrong stuff. And so I always say that it comes to a choice, to say, okay, I'm going to do good. I'm going to do better. I'm going to shut my mouth when I'm told what to do and say, yes, sir. Sure, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, madam. Yes, madam. And I always say I have my retirement to think about it, but that was really a strong discipline. And this is one thing that I always say to young artists is talent will get you a gig, but discipline will get you a career.
Yes.
So it's and I'm the best example, because I saw it was horrific, and I'm still learning every day. I'm still trying new stuff, and sometimes I see one person write, oh my God, that's terrible. So I put it out, and I work more on it, and I said, that's not good enough. And then I put it back, and people say, oh, that's great, I love it. And I'm like, okay, that's the right direction. But now I send it to people, and they give me their opinion, and they people who are not at all from the business, people who are really 100% in the business, some big names, some small names, friends, who really tell it to you like it is, But yeah, I'm very, very grateful that I had all these great teachers. So I was doing musical theater, started to audition for some of them, more going to the acting gigs in New York, and then one day people told me, you have a voice for opera, and I thought opera was, all the singers were like 500 pounds, that it was in German for 8 hours, that it was only for elderly people, that it was, that people were sleeping, that, I had this caricatural image, because I didn't grow up from it. Like you see the project image of that. And one day I went to the opera, and it was Turandot at the Metropolitan Opera. And I watched it, and I was like, oh my God, this environment, these beautiful people, and I said, you know what? That's what I want to do. I don't care how long it's going to take. Yeah. That's what I want to do. But I never forgot, of course, musical theater, which when I approached opera, I kept in mind the musical theater impact, because, in opera, sometimes I feel, and don't shoot the messenger, but I feel that people sing a lot for themselves, and because people know the story so much, they kind of forget the storytelling thing. Yeah. So these are very strong elements that I learned from theater, that every time when I started to do opera, I really, really brought the idea of the language. Like I always say, even if people don't speak Italian, I want them to understand what I'm singing about, and to vehicle really the emotions and the story and all of that. And that age shows a weak thing. We don't have that in opera, but I wanted to bring it also, saying that every night, every performance, it has something to be something new for the audience. I always say to the actors, don't forget the audience sees the show for the first time, you know. So you have to remember that so all these elements really, musical theater really changed me in so many ways. And it was the Phantom of the Opera the first time I saw really a Broadway musical, really.
Nice. Very
Absolutely.
cool. And yeah, a lot of people have hangups about opera. You know, they think it's stuffy or just standing there. But and it was like that. It used to be that way, where the people just stand there and they'd sing and
You're absolutely
not
right.
movement. But now I think musical theater and opera are kind of melding together. And you find, I think opera's taking little bits of musical theater, and musical theater is taking little bits of opera, and it's changing it and making it more palatable for more people, which is fantastic, because opera
Absolutely.
it's beautiful, it's big, it's powerful, it's dramatic, and unfortunately more people don't get to see it because they're turned off because of, you know, preconceived notions of the way it was. So
That's also one
that.
I'm sorry. No, but that's you bring a very good point, Jean-Paul. But this is one thing that when I started my own productions and to put my own shows, this is something that I really try to bring into opera, that I took not just from musicals but from pop. You know, also it's not necessarily the content. The content will always be the same, but it's the way you bring it. You know, by example, Nespresso, you see, they didn't invent coffee, but they invent an easy way, a trendy way, a classy way, with the what else, with the glamorous way, what else, you know, with the glamorous way of consuming the coffee. It's like with Apple. Apple did not invent music, but they invented a way with iTunes, with the iPods, to consume music that has changed the world. So opera doesn't need me, but the thing is to have a young persona to sit and to listen to opera, that's where the challenge is. So when I started to bring my own shows back then in Paris, because after from New York, I lived there, but after I moved back to Paris, because in America, people love me too much. They say, you have to leave the country. You know, say, we love you, just get out, please. You know, we have so much love, we cannot content it. You know, just get the hell out, please.
I was reading that online. Yeah, that's the first thing that pops up on Google with your name.
I know. No, but I had the visa for 3 years and it expired. And then I realized that, okay, it would be hard for me to grow in New York. I have to grow in my own country, in my own language. And once I get big there, then America will come in. This is where you really enjoy America, is when America brings you. When you go there, I mean, you can start. I mean, I did that, but I said at some point, because you enter in a circle thing where you have to pay for your rent, your food, and everything. And at the beginning, you do productions that are pro bono. So you cannot leave that 9 to 5 job, because you know you want to do that production, but also you have the bills at the end. You know, and in New York, it's so amazing that every month you have something new. You know, like a medical bill, boom, another, you know, there is always something like you're like, oh my God, I save all that money, I'm so happy. Boom, the taxes. You know, there's always something. Or you meet a new girlfriend, boom, you know, that's it. You know, you're done. You know, all the money is going away now. No, I'm kidding. I'm exaggerating, of course. But no, that's something that I really wanted to bring to audiences, is to tell. You know, I tell them, look, I grew up from the project. You know, I thought that opera was this, was that. There is some of it. You know, there are some opera that are, you know, like, you know, forever, that I'm bored with. But I promise you, what I will present you is the best of it. I'm taking young singers, and you will see that there is something fresh to it, you know. And also, a lot of the time, if you don't know what the singer is singing about, if you don't know the context of the story, you might, get off of it, very quickly. So I created this sort of series of concerts where I was bringing all the singers, but I was also explaining what was going on, like an MC. There's never been done in opera, an MC, and I was saying jokes and making fun. And then I created a program with the French government, the education department, where I was going to schools to talk about opera, and I was taking kids, bring them on stage, and then do like opera scenes with them. It was really very successful. And also with the French government, with the health department, I was going to hospitals and to sing for young children and bring them some opera and making fun for them. So for me, it was very teachable, because I was like, if you can catch the attention of a singer, of a child, for, then after adults in a theater sitting who have bought the tickets, you'll be able to do something really good. So it's very interesting what you said, Jean-Paul. So that really also guided me always, that in the audience, I have half of the audience who has never seen an opera, never seen a musical, never seen a classical theater piece, because I do a lot of those. And I have the people who know absolutely every single line, So I even have people, when I did Shakespeare, who say, oh, on that phrase you did ta 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 ta, it was ta 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 da da, And another one to be, you breathe between these two phrases. Why? Well, because you have to breathe, and it's like, yeah, but usually people don't do it. Yeah, okay, you're right, but I thought by breathing was adding, sort of a new expression into it. So that's the thing. But really, what made me I would say a little bit known in Paris, what established my brand was really my concerts, because there was, at that time, and I'm talking is like more than 15 years ago, at that time, Jean-Paul, people were telling me, are you crazy that in the same concert you're singing Mozart and Verdi? So I'm like, oh my God, thank God they don't know that I'm singing in the same concert Mozart, Roger Hammerstein. They don't know that I'm singing some jazz stuff. They don't know that I'm singing a lot of black music, a lot of Jewish music, a lot of Russian music, that I'm singing all this stuff, because I would do Billie Jean in an operatic version, People were like, what? And I would do the joke. I said, this is a new Verdi opera. They have just rediscovered it. And, so this is something new, and I thought, she was more like a beauty queen, so we start like that. People were they thought it was very funny. But yeah, so in my concert, I was putting some opera, some musicals, some jazz, some music, but I would talk to the audience. I will arrive like, hello, how's everyone feeling? Yeah. I would take people from the audience. I would make them do choreography on Carmen. I would improvise with the audience. I would do comedy. I would have comedy bites, 5 minutes there, 5 minutes there, 5 minutes there. I will make jokes about Carmen, but I also will explain what's going on. For example, everybody knew toreador, but nobody knew that toreador is a word that was invented by Georges Bizet, because, he did the mix between torero and matador, because torero, mata, so he did toreador, he wrote that. So people were like, oh, wow. And I said to the kids, do you know that it's Mozart who invented the rap music? Oh, really? How? And then I explained, because he wrote the spoken sing, or the singing spoken, whatever you say, so this is how I caught the intention, and this concert became very, very successful. I've done like way over 1,500, way over it. There was a day I did 4 concerts in the same day.
Wow.
It was, I mean, in those days, there was work, like audiences, like you would put a poster in just in the hall of a venue, you would be sold out. Wow. If you were like new, upcoming. Nowadays, I mean, you put your name, you can be on national TV, you can be anywhere. It's like, nobody might show up, It's, because there's so much to do at home, so, and this is some, and this
it's
is
a different
something
world
that
now.
really, Yeah, I mean, I have Netflix at home. I mean, what else you want me? And this was, something that Edward Morehouse from HB Studio, he taught me once. He said, why should I pay you while to see you on the stage, while I can see the biggest names for free at home?
Yeah.
So you if you have the answer to that, this is how you will find what will make you unique, and people pay only for what is singular, for what is unique, for what you can bring and what nobody else has.
Well, let's transfer from that, because your concerts, as you said, you sing Billie Jean in opera, you do Verdi, you do Mozart, you do jazz, you do all this stuff. So let's transition into Scarface, the Al Capone musical, which has hip hop elements to it. So tell us a little bit about Scarface, the Al Capone musical, because I know you contacted me, you sent me a song, and we played it station, and it's great. So tell us
thank you
about it.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for talking about it. First of all, it's one of the very first time that I really talk about it in depth. So, I of course played all these theater roles, musicals, and opera, but I've done it so much that I wanted something new. I wanted new material. I wanted some new stuff. Like recently, I did a musical about Anne Frank by my friend Jean-Pierre Dida. Was very successful off-Broadway, and we had another series of 10 performances, but I had to shut it down like 2 hours before the premiere because of the lockdown, the lockdown of the COVID.
Oh no!
So 2 hours before the curtain up, 2 hours before I had to shut it. It was really tough, but hopefully we're going to play now in March 2021. Hopefully, I reschedule everything 10 times, but anyway. So then after, I had this idea of Scarface about 5 years ago to do a musical about Al Capone, but I was like, okay, I didn't feel, with all due respect to other people who write new material, of course, I didn't feel that it would be great to add new material for his character. So for some reason, originally was to take the songs of the Prohibition era, the songs of his era, basically, the 20s, the 30s, around that time. So that was the original idea. And after, I was like, so I recorded the first demo. So there was the song, Brother, Can You Spare a Dime? And I was like, yeah, but then after I moved back again to New York, and I was in New York and I started from zero because my ex-best friend robbed all my money. So I was like, without any money, moving again from New York. And trust me, New York's not the city that you want to move in broke. So you want to come with gold in your bags, like, how much is the sandwich? What? $14? No, honey, I didn't ask, to buy the whole rayon. I just want one sandwich, do you include the drinks, the dessert, the table, the chairs? So anyway, and I had this idea of something about revenge of life, like starting from nothing, started back in life, but willing to grow strong, and step by step the idea of hip hop came in my mind. So I produced a few artists of hip hop that I signed on my record label. So that was my experience of hip hop. Of course, I don't know much about hip hop, but that's also why perhaps was one of the ingredients that I didn't come from that. So I was able to see it with the different eyes. And that's exactly what happened when I arrived in opera, that I saw things that were a little bit, with dust, that I wanted to refresh a little bit. So the idea of hip hop came naturally to it, and this idea of gangster rap, and Al Capone was a gangster. So there was that gangster, I would say, element that that was common. And then I was like, I want to use the lyrics from these standards that make sense in the story. So Brother, Can You Spare a Dime was perfect, because I imagine the first scene where Capone, because he started as a shining shoes, shoe shiner, and so people throw him a dime every time he shines shoes, and then there is the verse, they used to tell me I was building a dream, that all that stuff. So I said, I'm going to do it as a monologue at the beginning, and the words fell perfectly, like it was meant to be, with the story. And then after, when they say they called me Al, it was Al all the time. So I said, that's a blessing, So I sing it better in the recording, don't worry. But so it's before noon, before noon, the singer, I'm happy I can talk already, So that song really, really for me defined the musical. And then after I saw, okay, he goes in, he makes it, he goes to a club, he tells the story of that girl named Minnie, oh, Minnie the Moocher, so he tells the story, and I made that song a little bit hip hop. I rearranged a little bit the harmony, so and that, working on another single called My Heart Belongs to Daddy, about one of the mistress of Capone. She arrives in the brothel, and she sings for Capone, and this is all hip hop. So this is really how that musical started. And I tried to watch a little bit, all the stuff that were made around Capone, and it was more like they were focusing on the story. What I really wanted was to illustrate the evil side of Capone. I really wanted, even though, he was more a businessman than evil, even though he organized a lot of crimes, of course. But I really wanted to show, this is why I modified my voice to speak a little bit like that. So to make it, a little bit scary. And in the singing, then all of a sudden I said, I'm going to add the jazz element in the hip hop. I'm going to add the opera with the answer from the chorus. And then also I imagine the visuals of dancers dressed with the 20s, 30s costumes, but with shiny diamonds like the hip hop guys wear, with Ray-Ban sunglasses and the hat on the side, with hip hop choreography, with the new Bentley, like the brand new that you have now, the brand new, and Al Capone comes out. Like, this is what I imagine. I imagine also as a TV series, as a movie, musical film also. So I wanted all of that. And I also wrote parts such as the right arm of Al Capone, a guy in the style of Notorious B.I.G. Like, I really wanted an African-American rapper who is also living the same struggle of Al Capone, and they both want to make it. This is why at the end I say, I would say the world is yours, which we hear on the Scarface with Al Pacino, the world is yours, if we could reach the top, the world would give in. And then I change it and I put, if we can reach the top, the world will give in, Al Capone, And so in the way you said Al Capone without urban sound, and I wrote also the additional rap lyrics to I didn't want it to be cheesy or anything, so I to keep it really, really serious, and so far really I'm very, very happy of the result. And jazz is hip hop, and hip hop is jazz. I believe this is two forms of expressions that have really, really a lot in common, because it was both a very strong way of expression that they were in those days. So this is really how it started, Scarface. And I must say, now people are interested to have it now for me to bring it to a musical film, so before even to do it on the stage, you know. So I first want to finish the soundtrack.
Yes.
I want to do it like the soundtrack of a movie, you know, really, this is how I want to do it. And also with the mix, I mixed it really like you're listening to a movie, the soundtrack of a movie. This is really how I produced it. And I play all the instruments in it from A to Z. I do the whole thing from A to Z. And so I first want to do the soundtrack, and then from there, I'm pretty sure it's going to go first for a movie, then for a stage. You know, I mean, these days with the COVID, it's easier to build a movie than to
I know
than to do anything on stage, because I think we're going to perform stage in 2042. You know, so the you know, it's sad, but
yeah,
you know, at best, you know. So yeah, no, and so of course there is the comparison with Hamilton and this new thing, but it's very, very different. I mean, I wish it would be like Hamilton, of course, but you know, like, wish me 1%. You know, I live with that. I'd be happy with it. You know, but I must say that the fact that there was Hamilton, I think, opened also the door for a musical like Scarface to be brought. But I had the idea of the hip hop way before I saw Hamilton. But the way it is saying, the way it is very different from Hamilton. And Hamilton for me is a simple masterpiece. It's one of the greatest musical ever written. And I saw it actually. My agent was the same one who represented Hamilton. He was represented me and Hamilton and other clients, of course. And I was able to see it that way because you couldn't get a ticket for a while. And boy, when you see that show, this is something that I learned in life is when something works, when it's a success, always go to see it. Because a lot of people are like, oh, it's great. I don't need to see it. I don't want to see it. You know, when it's a success, go to see it, because you have to learn from these elements of saying why that show is spectacular, why that show is successful. Same story when, by example, I auditioned for shows or for opera or for whatever stuff, and I didn't get cast, and they cast somebody else. I always went to see the show, you know, because I wanted to see how come, and I didn't mean that in a bad approach or unhealthy approach, but I was like, I want to know why that guy, why did it bring on the table that I didn't bring, you know? And then when you see the other, you're like, oh, I understand. Oh, okay, I got it. Oh, yeah, my approach was totally wrong. Oh, okay, I didn't get that. Same story for opera singers or you know, people who really kill it on stage. You know, when you go to see them on stage, you're like, okay, I know what that guy is a superstar, because maybe you hear on the recording the voice is like average, but when you go on stage and you see that person, you're like, okay, I understand what that guy is a superstar, because he has a way of looking at the audience or interacting with the audience. So there's so much, you know, to learn from the big guys. So that's what I did with Hamilton. But to get back to Scarface, that's really you know, and you don't have anymore, like in musical, where the lead man is a bad guy, you know, a villain. You see the story of a villain, and when he dies and everything, and there is his right arm who takes his ring back, which was the ring of like the power and everything, and it says to be continued. You know, it's really going to be really, I believe, a great show, and yeah, it pays also a tribute to that beautiful era of the beautiful songwriting, which had a lot to do with the opera, you know, the way it was written, the way it was sang. So I felt really at home with Scarface, you know.
So how have you, outside of Scarface, how have you been keeping yourself busy during this COVID times of isolation? You're stuck in your one room New York apartment.
Two rooms. I pay a lot of money.
Rooms? Oh, well,
so
fancy.
please mention all the rooms I have. Jean-Paul, please. Actually, it's not even 2, it's 3 rooms, 3 rooms. So
Well,
I want you really to say, because every time I pay the rent, I feel I'm giving my land, So, I really want you to mention it, because I feel every square foot, I see it on my stuff, but for me, it was a good thing, because first I was very, very tired, because I put together about 10 theatrical productions per season. I hire about 150 artists per season, and you have to deal with all of that. You have to deal with one who is not happy, one who is not like this, one who said that about someone else, and the other is not happy. You have to deal with all that stuff. And so I was happy to get a break, and even when I'm in vacation or go to the French Riviera or something like that, you always have the emails every day. You always have some calls. You always have, so here really, I had days where, besides some advertising, I didn't get a single email, So I was able really to relax my mind and see a better, clearer picture. And I did this, I edited a lot of the shows that I have done off-Broadway that I was able, so some of them are filmed with 1 camera, with 2 cameras, so it's not like the big Lincoln Center production, but I was able, to show my work at least, and I presented it to Amazon, and we were able to do a partnership and have these shows on some of Amazon's platform. And also now with Roku, there's going to be a channel just about, about these shows that I have done. So I was able to do this partnership. I had also a partnership with other brands that I never really followed up in a way. And I was like, okay, now is the time, because when that started, we thought we would be off for a month, or 2 months, we didn't know, like a year later, that we would start perhaps to reschedule the show. I mean, there's still the cup of coffee that is at the theater on the table, it's still there,
Yes.
It's because we thought, okay, we'll come back in 2 weeks, so we'll come back in, so I was able to finish. I wrote a lot of theater plays that I adapted, that I was able to finish, that I was able to publish, also books that I wrote that I was able to finish. A lot of some of the recording stuff that I recorded even like almost 10 years ago, that I was like, man, that's crap. I have to re-record this stuff. So I was able to re-record it, and a lot of also stuff that I, some audio books, some pieces that I really wanted to record for a long time, some plays that I finished writing, and also I had more time to listen to some artists who submitted to be on my record label, that I kind of put it on the side. But now I reach out again and said, okay, look, now I have more time, so let's meet, let's do stuff. And also still with Amazon, I built a series of documentaries where I'm going to do documentaries about, big people who started from nothing. So I did one with Eli Tahari, very famous fashion designer in America. And so we filmed already 8 nights, like in the editing process. So all this stuff that I really, really didn't have time to do in the regular moments, and also to kind of do some sort of retrospective of all my work, saying, okay, that I have done, what am I doing next? I'm going to design my next 3 years, my next 5 years, my next 10 years, like I don't want to be a 70-year-old carrying my keyboard on my back and singing, in a small cafe that no one is listening. And I said, that's something that scares me every day, to tell you the
Yeah.
truth, Jean-Paul. But I say I'm going to work hard now to make sure that doesn't happen, even though unfortunately you never know, you know. So for me, it was very, very creative and a way to reorganize also a lot of the stuff, created some new products, and did partnership with brands, with a lot of brands, with big ones, and so for me it had a strong benefit, you know, and I have more time, I'm more relaxed. People say you can see it on my face. To me, I'm still ugly, but you know, doesn't. But the mask is very helpful because you see only half of my face.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You don't have to see the other half. So I was like, "Are you sure the virus cannot get through the eyes, so I can have another one, you know, to hide?" That would be also helpful. But no, that's that stuff that you know, I had the time to finish Scarface also, you know, which was something like the first, as the arrangement as you hear it, I recorded them back in 2016, you know, and it was still hanging there. So I redid a little bit the vocals, I rearranged it. So and now really it's a very strong priority of mine. And yeah, I also have an offer to build a network of web TV and web radio. Will never be as good as you, don't worry. And around the theater world. And I was like, oh, that's something that I would love to do, to build, because I love to, I don't mean to sound, you know, bossy or anything, but I love to hire people. It's a great joy for me to bring people together and create opportunities and create new material. So that's what I want to do now. Is also, I'm still going to do some classics there and there, but I really want to write new material. I wrote a play about the trial of Adolf Eichmann, you know, who was a Nazi who was captured by the Mossad, and then he was trialed in Jerusalem. So I watched some of the. I said, man, that's theatrical word. The lawyers going da 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 da, and him defending himself, and the judges and all of that. And I said, okay, we have a piece of history that we can, you know. So that is not for now, for sure, but. The play is written, so we will see what goes on after. But really, Scarface is going to be, and the fact that my mind is like really free, worries free at least, because when you're a producer, you spend a lot of your time just to fix stuff, just to make sure that problems don't happen, you know, just to take care of that. So when there is none of that happening, you have more time to dedicate to pure artistic work.
Very cool. Well, David, thank you so much for coming on.
Man,
and
thank you to you,
and introducing me to Scarface and telling us a little bit about yourself and how you got here.
Thank you, sir.
But before we go, I always ask 3 questions of my guests.
Of course.
There's no right or wrong answer, but there's a wrong answer. So all right.
But can I tell you something first?
You can. What if I said no? What would you do?
Jean-Paul.
If I said no, what would you do?
I will email it to you. No. But I want you to know how much I admire what you're doing, because what you're doing is so important. What you're doing to feature other work, to play the music that you're playing. I'm so glad you played my recordings, Beggar's Holiday, that I produced back in when was that? 2012, I think it was. So I want to thank you for what you're doing. I have a lot of admiration, respect for you, and really, Jean-Paul, I want you to know I'm your friend for life. You know, so. That really means a lot that you have me on your show among all these wonderful names that you have interviewed. But one name that really means a lot for me is yours. So thank you, Jean-Paul, for this amazing opportunity.
You know what? I'll ask these questions. Even if you get them all wrong, I'm still giving you a perfect score.
You see how I bought my way out, you know?
Nice. Very smart.
You see, but let me tell you how you mean to me, Jean-Paul, you know? Maybe I'm going to get some cash from the answer, you know?
Yeah, cash. Because as an artist, I have lots of that. Musical theater.
You don't have your own banks. It's like people think that producer, that's something when I said, people say, you know, it might surprise you, but as a producer, I don't print money at home. You know,
exactly.
It might be a surprise for you, but I do not print money at home. You know, anyway.
All right. So question number 1.
Sure. Who
is your favorite creator or team when it comes to either music, lyrics, or book?
I would say Roger Hammerstein. What was Lerner and the people of My Fair Ladies. Lerner and these two, and the team of Andrew Lloyd Webber and I forgot who wrote the lyrics from The Phantom of the Opera.
Oh, that'd be Don Black and
Richard something. Oh gosh, people are gonna hate us. But anyway, so The Phantom of the Opera, and also all the new team. I like that now you have a lot of songwriters also who write musicals that are like, oh, I don't have to be actually an opera composer to write music. So I like the classics. Yeah,
they're a good base for everybody else to build on, right? They knew what they were doing.
And for me, this is one thing that I always say is they are really the core of the American culture, you know, because American culture, it's only many elements coming to one. That's really what is the American culture. Like all these musicals that there were in those days around the war, pre-war, was Yiddish musicians coming from Eastern countries. They come here, they are classically trained, they know the operetta, the opera and operetta. They arrive in America, they discover the jazz music. Then the Irish, they brought the vaudeville. Some American, they went to Paris, they saw the Moulin Rouge with the musical review, and they brought all of that, and they made, so this is what I say, it's really the core of musical. It's the best national ID of America is really musicals. And I love this country. Of course, there's good and bad in every country. But let me tell you, with cheeseburger and musical, cheeseburger and the Cubano cigar and the Corona beer. Don't tell me where I get the Cubano cigar. I cannot tell you.
Lips are sealed, not a word.
Let me tell you, they're good. They're very good.
All right. Correct answer, even though you already had the correct answer because of your earlier segment. All right. Question number 2. Now, you've sung all around the world, right? You've been all over. What is the most underrated country or city you've been to that you highly recommend I should go to?
Honestly, Morocco, which is the country of my family. It's really, really a beautiful, beautiful country. When I see what goes on sometimes in the US between the racism that is recreated, really, and all these Me Too things, in Morocco, we solved the Me Too thing. We solved the racism hundreds of years ago because the King Mohammed V said, we don't have any Jews in Morocco. We don't have any Muslims. We don't have any Christians. We don't have any men. We don't have any women. We have only Moroccans, So with that phrase, it really defines what this beautiful country is. And it's really a country of generosity, which I like to bring also in my comedy acts and in my writing and in my performances. I really, really recommend people to go to Casablanca. And actually, I'm building over there an opera and Broadway festivals.
Wow.
Which, we have the venue, we have everything. We're supposed to take place in February 2021. But most likely we have to push it for maybe, I don't know, 2022, I guess. I don't know yet.
Who knows?
So I really recommend really people to go to Morocco and also to London. Like,
Yeah.
everybody knows it. No, really. Morocco and Paris, of course, is a beautiful, beautiful city. More and more American musicals over there. They had these two schools of either doing the American stuff but put the French subtitles, or adapting everything in French. So both are very, very interesting. Absolutely.
Very cool. Well, when that festival happens in Casablanca, you let me know. I will promote the heck out of it for you.
Well,
And if
I will send you a flight ticket to
well, I was going to say,
invite
if
you.
it's in 22 and we can travel, I would love. I've missed going to so many places this year because I was planning to go to London and New York again and Chicago and check out theater, and then this happened. So I'm going to put Casablanca on my list.
Well, you know what? Royal Air Maroc, who is a wonderful airline company, and we did a lot of partnership with them, and they named me one of the 15 most influential Moroccan in the world.
Wow.
You know, and that was last year. So I will promote Royal Air Maroc for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? Even if you go Toronto to Montreal by plane, I would say use Royal Air Maroc to go through Morocco and come back to Montreal. No, but they have direct flights from Montreal that are not expensive, and really the planes are really wonderful. So it would be my privilege to invite you. You pay for the hotel, I pay the flight.
I have no problem with any of that.
It's none of my business, you know. They have great tents, you know. But no, I will invite you, and you would be definitely my guest of honor. And this is really good. And the people of Morocco really deserve to. I mean, I produced and created many opera and Broadway festivals in France, but in Morocco, you know, it would be so great for them to have more opera and more, you know, more Broadway musicals. Definitely.
Yeah. As a side note, but correct answer, by the way.
No, thank you.
You know what? I love learning about Broadway and the West End and things like that. But I really love to learn about. I talked to a friend in Mexico, and I learned about Mexican musical theater, and I'd love to learn more about German and Moroccan and Singapore. Like, not hot spots of musical theater, but there's such good stuff there.
In Moscow, like
that's what I'd love to learn more
they
about.
have amazing musicals. You know, I lived in Russia for 2 years, and I speak Russian, and I love Russian people, and they're a big part of my audience, and great supporter, beautiful, amazing people. And in Russia, they did, let's say, the right version of The Count of Monte Cristo as a musical. They will write a musical about that, and it's really, really good. The way they take classics is really amazing. Like, if there is a duel with Cyrano, in Cyrano, they do a box ring, you know, and they say it's so funny. It's really great. Also in Israel, in Tel Aviv, they do a lot of a great new musical in Hebrew. In Dubai also they do a great musical. But I want, you know, as you say, in Africa they have some great stuff. But in Argentina, someone sent me the score. They want me to produce it in New York. Is a very known Maria de something. Oh my goodness, I forgot. I'm sorry. Maria something. A very famous tango opera. You know, and I have already a big name, a very big star that I know who is attached, who wants to do. She said, "Look, if you want to put it together, I do the lead role of Maria de something. I forgot. Oh gosh, and I said, okay, let's put it together. So we will see for 2022, 23, something like that.
Very cool. All right. Again, like I said, correct answer. So final question. Final question. Most important.
I love that.
Well, that's most important question. Audience members eating food in the theater during a musical or an opera, yes or no?
If it's in the theater, no.
Okay.
But I created something that I actually even copyrighted. I own the name. It's called the Opera Brunch.
Okay.
You know, where people, it's like a dinner theater, but for opera. So people first eat you know,
Okay.
and then they see the show, you know, and then after they have the dessert. So they don't eat while we're
Okay.
performing, you know, but actually they're very respectful. We clear actually all the plates and the silverware on the table. So for sure they have nothing to play with.
Yes.
And, but I'm still eating. I said, don't care. You finish later, you know, we put it to go for you. So I did that, work really well. I did also the Broadway brunch with similar thing.
Yeah.
It worked out really, really well. But in the theater, no. But you know, if they have a bottle of water and they're drinking bottled water, you know, it's okay. But honestly, I played in every single type of settings, whether it was in a basement, whether it was in someone's apartment, whether it was in someone's car. One day a guy hired me to sing in his car when he was going to propose to his I mean, I played in stadiums, I played in big theater, in small theater, I played everywhere, on television, everywhere. So I'm used to everything, you know. So before I used to get mad, and I used to say it even to the people, I say, turn off your phone, you know.
Yes.
But now people hate you if you do that. They say, oh, he's mean. How come he's saying that? You know. So, and after people write something bad about you, and but they will not say that. You know, they will say, oh, the show was terrible, and then you look at the name and you see the person on Facebook, you recognize the photo of the person, that it was that person who was using your phone, to whom you said to turn it off. So, you know, but unfortunately, that's the people of today. I saw one day a woman who was clipping her nails during the show.
What?
I saw once a woman who put her 2 feet on the stage. Like, you know, she was sitting at the first row. I saw one day a guy who was watching a movie on his iPad during the show. Yeah, and at the end of the show, he was in the small venue, like 150 seats where I was performing, and in Paris. And then the guy leaves, and it was the way people were leaving. It was like I was seeing them the way it was in the theater, the exit, and because I was playing one show after the other, you know, in the same day. And so I would shake hands to people, give hugs and everything. I mean, that was back in those days. Now no more hugs, you know. But back in those days, and I said to the guy, but why were you? I'm not mad at you. I just don't care. But I just want to know, why did you go to see a show if it was? He said, look, honestly, I have nothing against you, but I hate shows. But my wife, who is a big fan of you, forced me to go to see your show, you know. And anyway, you know, but you know, sometimes you have, honestly, these impolite people really get surpassed by amazing polite people that you meet someday. There is a guy once, I never forget, he came after me at the show. He said, listen, I really enjoy what you've done, etc., etc. I said, thank you very much. He said, I want you to know that was not the show I came to see. And I'm like, what happened? Say, because in the theater where I was playing, you had 3 theaters, you know. And you say, I went to the wrong door.
No.
You know, but because, you know, there was like 20 people in the audience, like it was not, you know, I was starting out. He said, I was like, if I stand up and I leave a minute or 2 after you start, you will see me leaving, you will be depressed. So I said, I decided to stay until the end. And all that, and I was like, we're still friends to this day. And so, you know, you have this kind of a beautiful story at the end. People after the show say, hey, we take you for a drink, we take you for dinner, we take you, and you meet really, really, really great people. So, you know, on the balance, you know, but no, if I see someone eating, I think I would grab the food. You know, I would say, listen, give me some chicken, man. I'm starving on stage. You know, I'm like, give me some stuff, you know.
Well,
but
3 correct answers. Congratulations. I have no money still, so I can't give you anything. I will play another one of your songs.
You're rich with your heart. You
know? Oh, I do. David, thank you so much for coming on and talking to us today.
Thank you, Jean-Paul.
So
thank
awesome.
you.
All
Man,
right.
I'm going to move to Canada. People are so nice over there. I swear, people are so nice. You know, I go to a store in Montreal. I say, I would like to buy this. He said, let me double check. Let me see. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I don't have. I'm like, dude, so sorry. I thought he lost his mom or something like that. You know, I'm like, dude, it's okay. Don't worry. People are so nice over there. Every time I go to play in Canada, in Montreal, I play more in Montreal than in Toronto.
For
but
sure.
I really, really miss this beautiful, beautiful country. It's so cold over there, man, when it gets cold. Oh, man. Oh, my God.
That's
like,
funny.
even when you go out, you ask to God, you're like, why? Why you make it so cold? Put the thermostat a little bit up. It's freezing. You know, you don't like people by making it so cold, sir. Oh, man,
Again,
it is cold.
thank you, David, so much.
Thank you, Jean-Paul.
All right. So we were just speaking with David Serero here on Be Our Guest on Musical Theater Radio. Tune in next week as we'll be talking to a new guest or guests about their life, love, and passion. That is musical theater. I am still your host, Jean-Paul Jovanoff. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.